On the Fringe with Dan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Government still shut down. Another vote come and gone. I think they've got another one coming today. No expectations that it's actually going to pass. In fact, that big bill to fund the military, that didn't pass. If you just think about that for half a second, right now the Democrats have decided that this shutdown ploy to get money for illegal aliens is more important than actually funding our military and protecting our borders. Think about that for a second. Think about the million-plus military members that are not going to get paid. Well, Trump made sure they got paid, but the Democrats have no intention of taking care of any of those people. A lot of those people used to be Democrats. Used to be. Very interesting. Music-wise this week, I want to let you know tomorrow we're going to be doing Moody Blues. Moody Blues, one of the Moody Blues has died. So we talked about that earlier in the week, and I thought that made a really, really good inspiration for the music. So I got like 5 Moody Blues songs that I picked out that are super good, and there's more I could have done. So, I mean, not everybody's going to be thrilled with every choice I made. But then I did a bunch of music that's very similar to the Moody Blues. So it's going to be kind of a groovy, melodic, really fun kind of music. So please check that out. We'll be doing that live 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday. And on Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, we do the Law of One. And today's actually going to be a lot of fun, talking about pyramids, the pyramid room, the way energy spirals. A whole lot of really, really cool stuff is going to be brought up in today's show. So, again, a lot of fun going on. Let's get the ball rolling here news-wise. Again, the sombrero of truth, or the verdad, right? The sombrero de verdad. I don't know, of truth, I guess. Damn it. But hang it on Jeffries and Schumer's offices, right? This is what we need to make a big deal of and make them feel bad about. Also, the second nationwide No King's Day protest is set for thousands of locations on Saturday. I don't recall the first one being that big of an impression, if you will, but we will see how this one plays out. Recently I sort of talked about how I want people to kind of stay home. Don't put yourself in harm's way. I no longer want to do that. You guys, I feel like, a parent is finally raised their children, right? You guys are going to have to make your own decisions. Now, again, be careful. If you want to be parts of these things, if you want to go out and counter protest, there's actually some benefit to that. But what you send out will return on to you, or what you reap, you shall sow. So make sure what's in your heart is not a bunch of vengeance and stuff like that, because you might very well find yourself in a precarious situation. And what you look for, ye shall find. So be careful, guys, if you're going to go out there. And also, what consumes your thoughts becomes your reality. Much like that concept of looking into the abyss, and the abyss looks back into you, and staring into the eyes of a monster, and you become the monster. And so, and I think I've screwed that quote up a little bit, but close. And that's kind of the same concept. If it consumes your time, if you're constantly worried about the other people and the other side, you'll actually become like them. You'll become a version of them on our side of the fence. And, I mean, there's an example. There's a lot of things the people on the left, they want to mandate what you can say, what you can do, right? They want to mandate all that kind of stuff. They want to be able to force books in front of your children, right? But then there's people on the extreme right that if something's a sin, they want to mandate that you can't do it, right? Like, and again, I'm not a big porn guy, right? But just a great example. If I want to watch porn in my house, am I hurting anyone else? And I get it. Some would say it's a sin, Dan. Well, but if you're keeping me from my freedoms, how are you any different than the other side? And you're not. So, again, it's kind of one of those don't tread on me, I won't tread on you kind of moments, right? If you don't like porn, don't watch porn. Be all high and mighty and never watch it. That's fantastic. But to kind of assume, and again, I don't watch porn. I've seen it before. I've watched it a few times. It's not a thing I'm into. I like nudity, like anyone, but yeah, it's not. Porn's just so kind of just takes some of the fun out of it. I don't know. I like a little story, whatever. Another judge hijacks Oval Office, halts federal firings during the shutdown. Says now he can't fire people during the shutdown. Says it's probably not going to pass anyway. It's probably illegal. And by the way, this is one of the biz snatches that has done this before. Judge Susan Yvonne, she's one of the ones that's blocked stuff before. Again, there's this handful of these guys, and they frankly should be impeached. I think we've got a sign that we'll pull up here at some point, but they need to be impeached or whatever. The Supreme Court needs to deal with this because this is nonsense. This is insane. And so, yeah, they can't continue to be a thorn in the side. And just one district court being able to stop the commander in chief, being able to stop the entire government. I don't know. It seems like a little too much power, right? They should be able to do something within their district. And then if they want to bump it up higher and get higher courts to get involved to make it larger, well, that makes more sense. But yeah, it's weird how obviously district courts have way too much power. Congressional Democrats consider adding reversal of Trump admin firings to the list of shutdown demands. So anybody that Trump might fire, the Democrats are considering making that you have to hire them back or else we won't open the government. Now, this judge is not going to be able to win that. That's eventually going to get appealed. So once that happens and Trump starts firing people, and then we're like, well, I guess the government doesn't open back up then there's a lot of problems that are going to continue to happen, and Trump's going to continue to move in this direction. This is going to backfire all over the place on the Democrats. And then, again, the Democrats continue to show they don't care about this country, that they only care about holding on to power, that they only care about control over others. Grand jury convenes to consider charges against John Bolton. We'll see. They were saying this could have happened yesterday or today. As of yet, I have not seen the indictment happen. So it's expected possibly today, Thursday. Trump slams D.C. judge who let big balls attacker walk free. He was pretty pissed off about this. Did I get the right place on this? Or did I not go back? I feel like I don't know if I got in the right place. Let me see.
They have emptied their prisons into the United States of America.
Yeah. The judge he was pissed off at the judge. Said it was pretty jacked up. Said the judge should be ashamed of themselves. It's terrible, yada, yada. I actually watched a bunch of that, but it was a long press interview. I was curious because everyone was tripping on the fact that he was meeting with Kash Patel. I think one individual I follow a little bit was like, I'm going to go live when it happens. Good thing I didn't because, it was kind of not that big a deal. It wasn't a nothing burger. It just wasn't worthy of stopping the press, if you will. The Justice Department has brought the first Antifa-related terrorism charge in a Texas ICE attack. The Cameron Arnold, a.k.a. Autumn Hill, Zachary Evitz. He's going to be, he's indicted at least. We'll see how that continues to go. Hopefully they can make some things happen. Want to remind you guys, of course, the best night of sleep is literally just at your fingertips. It's that easy. All you got to do is type mypillow.com/OTF. mypillow.com/OTF. Anything over $100, you're getting free shipping. That's actually pretty awesome when you think about the big picture. Also getting $100 of free digital coupons at anything over $100. Best towels ever. 6-piece towel set. Highly recommend it. A lot of beautiful colors. $39.98. It's an incredible towel set. These are the best towels you'll ever use. Only thing that I've ever used that's better is the premium version of these towels. They're fantastic. They're soft. They're extraordinarily absorbent. You will be amazed. They're incredible. $39.98. Get different colors. You get 2 or 3 of those, and boom, there's your $100. Or go ahead and throw out some of these percale sheets. They got closeout sales. Any size, any color. That's in stock. $29.88. Huge deal. And then these slippers. They're trying to blow out the old and make room for the new. $39.98. For any of those, think ahead for Christmas presents. Again, right here, you get one of each of these, and you're pretty much at the $100 mark, right? There you go. My Pillow, best pillow you'll ever use. They've got the, of course, classic My Pillow collection, which is at $14.98 starting. Insane. Or the premium My Pillows, which is kind of more of the box edge as well. That starts at $17.98. You can get Mike Lindell's Cross. They've got 2 versions of it, the black inner with the silver outer. They're, of course, sterling silver. There's a men and women's. But they also have one that's got a white inner and like a black outer. It's pretty. It's just pretty. Let's just leave it at that. Very pretty. Giza Dream Sheet, $69.98. Incredible deal. Greatest sheets. Definitely the ones I use. High thread count. Awesome. Super deep pockets. You will be in love with these sheets the second you put them on. Also, the socks are incredible. I haven't worn them yet, but I've got a pair, and they're just really nice. Everything they make with cotton is fantastic. Also recommend the coffee. It's actually pretty good considering the price. And get your dog a bed. Come on, get your dog a bed. Be cool like that. But they've got the clothing for My Pillow. Again, more socks. Bath sheets and mats. The bath sheets, if it's like the big bath towels, those are huge. That's really sweet. So bath sheets and mats, you definitely want to check those out. And again, beach towels, bolster pillow and pillowcase. Again, they've got some really, really awesome stuff. Check it out. Check out their closeout stuff. Check out their My Store. Same coupon code is going to work for you there. That's mystore.com/OTF, or just use the coupon code OTF. Whole bunch of really, really awesome stuff over there. And again, check the outlet sale. They've always got some really cool stuff in the outlet section. So always really, really good stuff. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. And hopefully will ever have. Yeah. All right. The public's pretty tired of what's going on, and there's just no question about this. This lady, I think, does a brilliant job talking about it.
I swear, the National Guard, there's literally people saying in Chicago, in Memphis, which I have family in both places, I feel more safe now. My kids can go out front and play. I can walk down the street to the store and not worry about if I'm actually gonna make it home. And people will still be like, no, this is terrible. Take the National Guard out, blah, blah, blah. And you guys are totally discounting real people's experience that live in the place. You guys are watching CNN. You guys are watching fake news, other biased media, and you're not listening to the people that are actually affected by it front line. It's insanely wild to me. Insanely wild. I just talked to my cousin. She said, I haven't felt this safe, and I don't know at any time in my life. She lives in Memphis. When are we gonna wake up? It doesn't matter what the Trump administration does. You guys are always gonna find some sort of fault, even if there is something good. Doesn't matter if you like Donald Trump or not. You cannot deny the facts that what he's doing in these cities, they're working. Guys, a lot of this is just the law being carried out. If I go commit a crime, there's something called consequences. Even the Bible says, obey the law of the land. See, but we want the narrative to fit when we want the narrative to fit. I don't know any other country you can just go into and you can just do whatever you want. Come in illegally, do this and that, and there's no repercussions. Huh. That's crazy. What a concept.
Yeah, really. Like, what a concept. What a bargain, as Eddie Murphy would say in Delirious. ACLU loses its last-ditch effort to stop the SCOTUS from evaluating state bans on males in girls' sports. This one's actually funny, because the court kind of got mad at the individual. This individual, Lindsay Hecox, who's a male, decided to cease playing women's sports in the context covered by HB 500. So after their side kind of did their piece, he then decided, I don't want to be in sports anymore. Let's go ahead and cancel this case. And essentially the judges are like, that's not really fair, actually. President Trump nominee who saved Hecox's challenge 3 years ago when the Ninth Circuit questioned whether the lapsed athlete would resume competing and thus maintain legal standing to sue Idaho, interpreted Hecox's late-breaking about-face as, quote, somewhat manipulative to avoid Supreme Court review and ruled it should not be endorsed. See, they didn't want this to go before the Supreme Court because they realize they're going to lose. And again, whether or not the Supreme Court will even see it at this point, since the individual is not necessarily competing, but it's a larger question that certainly needs to be answered. The free market may sack Jimmy Kimmel again. I've been kind of ignoring this. His numbers have been falling since he came back. When he came back, he had some 6 million viewers, which was, for him, was insane. Like, that was 2 to 3 times his typical night. Well, he's now even dropped down below where he was prior to the firing. He's hovering around 1.7 million viewers, and his numbers are continuing to collapse. So again, the left can't say anything about this. This is called a shitty program, and his program is failing. And eventually they'll take him off the air. The reason they didn't take him off the air, and this is so baffling to many people, right? But the reason his show's still there is they don't have anyone else to put in that could even pull a 1.7. They have 0 people that could pull off his numbers, and his numbers are abysmal. So they're dying a wonderfully painful death, and it's fun to watch. Desperate Newsom peddles lies in an attempt to mar J.D. Vance's trip to Camp Pendleton. Governor Newsom peddling falsehoods. They said that they're going to have to close down the I-5 freeway. Now, where they do the down by Pendleton, where they do the amphibious landings, it's pretty cool. I've seen them before. They don't come up over the freeway. I've been on the freeway and seen them coming on shore. Now, if J.D. Vance is down on the beach or something, yeah, they might shut down the 5 freeway because it's so close that someone could literally stop and shoot at him or something crazy like that. But that's not going to happen. And William Martin posted this. He says, this is complete fake news. The Marine Corps said they are not shutting down the I-5 highway and that the event at Camp Pendleton is a training exercise. Also, President Trump is paying the troops despite Chuck Schumer's efforts to hold their salaries hostage. Because Gavin Newsom was talking about how they wouldn't get paid. So again, liar. Liar and chief wannabe is what he is, and he's never going to get the opportunity. Duffy has pulled $40 million from California over English-only trucker rule. It's funny, California is the only state that refused to agree to this. That truck drivers from the state need to be able to read English. You know, the street signs, which are written in English. Basic English. But they have to be able to read basic English. California refused to do it. Sean Duffy's like, all right, $40 million you're not getting, which isn't a huge amount of money, but the way we waste money in this state, I'm sure there's, again, probably a third of that goes straight into people's pockets. Guess what? A bunch of people aren't getting that money shoved into their pockets. They're going to be pissed. So, again, this is going to be fun. Got some stuff with Donald Trump. He's revealing how San Francisco might be next.
Strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco, it was one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support in San Francisco, so I'd like to recommend that for inclusion, maybe in your next group. You'll get great support. Every American deserves to live in a community where they're not afraid of being mugged, murdered, robbed, raped, assaulted, or shot. And that's exactly what our administration is working to deliver. I didn't realize I was going to make this such a big, strongly recommend.
In Frisco, by the way, it's more, and they hate when you call it Frisco, by the way. In Frisco, by the way, they you're more worried about getting feces on you than necessarily crime. I mean, crime's pretty bad. Don't get me wrong; it's actually really bad. But there's so many homeless people, and yeah, you're worried you're going to have either someone stab you with a dirty needle. Or you're going to get feces on you in some weird way. So, yeah, it's disgusting. Used to be such a beautiful city. John Solomon's talking about verified reports revealing the CIA involvement in the overthrow of the U.S. government during the 2020 election.
Short while ago, Just News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan. Hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a mere civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
Yep. It's just more and more is coming out. In fact, we've got this as well, come out from the Oversight Project. Why was the DOJ IG report showing Charles McGonigal acted as a mole for the CCP influence operation that paid the Bidens taken offline? Why was that taken offline? Well, we seem to have an answer. Embrace this if you can. The head of FBI's hunt for the mole who betrayed U.S. assets in China turned out to himself be a mole who leaked information to the CCP operation that paid the Bidens. This leak was covered up by the DOJ, which itself separately hid the Biden CCP connections at the same case where the leak occurred. No one was ever charged, is what Solomon was talking about. It's just, are you serious? Like, yeah, this is literally what's going on. President Trump's now, let's see, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi says the weaponization of political opponent. Yeah, he's talking about, I think, going after Jack Smith and Andrew McCabe and Lisa Monaco, all those people. Here's Trump talking. Make sure we're sped up a little bit on this guy. Yeah, cool, 1.25. It's about 4 minutes normally. Check it out.
President, question, given you have the FBI Director and Attorney General here today, Jim Jordan has asked Jack Smith to appear in front of the House Judiciary.
You mean deranged, Jack? He's a deranged individual, yeah.
He's asked him to
well, they should. I'm surprised it takes so long. You know, we're talking about violent crime. What about the crime against a political opponent? That's what we have to talk about, too.
Jordan would like to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. What do you think the committee will find out?
I think it was the worst weaponization of a political opponent in the history of the world, let alone this country. And I hope that everybody's, you know, they're involved in it. I'm not. I'm the one that had to suffer through it and ultimately win. But what they did was criminal. Deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal. And I noticed his interviewer was, I think that was Weissman. And I hope they're going to look into Weissman, too. Weissman's a bad guy. And he had somebody in Lisa, who was his puppet, worked in the office really as the top person. And I think that she should be looked at very strongly. There was tremendous criminal activity having to do. If we don't have fair elections in this country, we're not going to have a country. And I've said it from the beginning, fair elections and borders. And we need also fair press, because if you don't have fair press, it's very tough. And we've got the strongest border of anybody. Nobody has a border. We have a border where the numbers just came out again. You saw 0 people came in illegally. Now, we do take people into our country legally, but 0 people. But, you know, you're talking about a different subject. You're talking about political crime. They have committed massive political crime. I hope they're looking at Shifty Schiff. I hope they're looking at all these people. And I'm allowed to find out. I'm allowed to, you know, I'm, in theory, the chief law enforcement officer. But I have a very good, talented group. This is about something else. But I hope they're looking at political crime, because there's never been so much political crime against a political opponent as what I had to go through. They raided my house in Florida. It was an illegal raid. I have a lawsuit that was doing very well. And when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know. How do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, right? And I don't know what to do with the lawsuit. It's a great lawsuit. And now I won. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know. But that was a lawsuit that was very strong, very powerful. They raided illegally my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. They went through the drawers of my young son. They went through all of the cabinets and drawers of the First Lady. She walked in. She said, wow, what happened? Because she's very meticulous. And this wasn't so meticulous as she looked into the drawers and she saw everything a mess. It's what they did against a person that just got out of office. And then you look at these corrupt people. You look at Hunter Biden. You look at the signature. As an example, the Auto Pen. I just signed so many different things. An admiral, a 4-star general. I'm signing them left and right, the commissions. And by the way, I want to compliment John Thune and also Mike, our great speaker. But John Thune, all of a sudden I'm getting these things by the hundreds. I was getting one every 2 weeks. It would have been 4 years before you got them in more. You would have had some that didn't even get in, all because of Democrat obstruction. So John Thune did a great job. I must have signed 200 into the administration. We're just about caught up. It's amazing. And so compliments to John. He had to do some things that were very tough to do that he didn't want to do, but he was forced to do it by the Democrats. And as far as the shutdown is concerned, this is a Democrat Schumer shutdown. And he's trying to do it to get relevance back into the party because he's a loser. I've known him all his life. He's always been sort of a loser, but an intelligent one. But I think he's losing IQ points with time. I think that happens. I hope it hasn't happened with me. I know if it did, you guys will let me know about it very quickly.
Yeah. So again, what's going on? Schumer shutdown, all this stuff. It's totally happening. Kash Patel was in with John Solomon, and they confirmed more indictments are in fact coming.
Last question. All the things that you've seen, all the weaponization you've uncovered since you came in and found these secret files or restricted files, all those things. Beyond those who are already charged, do you think you've seen other crimes that might eventually get referred to justice?
Yes, we are looking at so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power. And we're not going to stop until every single one of those is fully exposed The documents are provided either to Congress or the courts of law and make every referral we can to the Department of Justice. These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in this near future are just the beginning. But I have to remind the audience one thing. Everybody's like, it's 7 months. What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
Well, they spent 20 years building this diseased temple of corruption. It takes a little bit of time to defeat it and beat it down. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to look at the work the men and women of the FBI have done so far in these 7-8 months and just imagine what we're going to do come the year end.
The FBI looks a lot more like the one I covered 20, 30 years ago than the one I had to endure and cover the last 10 years. And that's a great credit to you, Director. There's no doubt about it. The president said it today. We know it's true.
I'll say it again, and I've said it before. I mean, I backed Kash Patel. I saw what he did during the off years. He's brilliant. He's done a great job, and so that's pretty cool. Here's Bill Maher bringing up something that nobody in mainstream media is bringing up, and even Nancy Mace is like, damn, you're pretty awesome, bud.
If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. Not, and again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Thank you. Because no one will talk about it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
It's Africa. That's why no one's talking about it, and they should be. You can't read about it in mainstream media. It's sad, so thank you for bringing it up.
Well, because the Jews aren't involved. That's why. It's the Christians and the Muslims. Who cares?
Yeah, he's right. I mean, you got to have the Jews, or else they're not going to hate. Which is, again, interesting, because so many people... I think it's really important to phrase things well, and a lot of people are anti-Israel. I would be really careful. Anti-deep state Israel. But you got a lot of Jews that are Israelis, and they're not the problem. It's just like, I don't know, all Palestinians aren't Hamas. I mean, I guess all Hamas are terrorists, kind of. I kind of used to argue that the Hamas's girlfriends maybe aren't, but still. Trump's Pentagon confiscates virtually every major media assets, press passes, every one of them, almost all of them. Today, the Defense Department confiscated the badges of the Pentagon reporters from virtually every major media organization in America. It did this because reporters would not sign onto a new media policy over its implicit threat of criminalizing national security reporting and exposing those who sign it to potential prosecution. The Pentagon Press Association's members are still committed to reporting on the U.S. military, but make no mistake, today, October 15th, 2025, is a dark day for press freedoms that raises concerns about a weakening U.S. commitment to transparency and governance, to public accountability at the Pentagon, and to free speech for all. Now, I disagree with that, but this was put out by some crap association. Needless to say, yeah, this is how the game is going to be played. You're not allowed to just walk around bases and say whatever the hell you want. Here's another individual that's walking away.
I don't know how it go in your city, town, state, but in Chicago, when we go vote, you always got 2-3 women at the door telling you to vote all Democrat. They don't give you the history of nobody. They don't tell you what neighborhood these people from. They tell everybody in line, just vote blue. Now tell me what type of... I'm done, bro. I'm voting red.
There you go. Voting red. That sounds like a reasonable idea, in my opinion. J.B. Pritzker's tax documents show that his wife made a crap ton of money, something to the effect of $10.3 million in taxable income last year. Well done. She's also apparently got a $1.4 million gambling positive, including there, I guess, maybe $1.4 million in gambling. I don't even know how to properly say that. Income from gambling, which means they're writing off obviously the losses from gambling. Kind of a funny thing. I've got a buddy that's really into poker. It's kind of funny because he's an addictive personality, and I'm like, you realize like gambling's considered sort of addictive, and he's like, that's different. I'm like, okay. And as he goes every single week, and he's pretty hardcore about it. Anyway, needless to say, people are pretty pissed off about that. Another person people are pissed off about, Elizabeth Warren. Pocahontas, maybe you might not recognize her normal name. Leftism for thee, but not for me. She, on her taxes, put just shy of $1 million. Now remember, she makes far less than that. Apparently her husband's money's coming into play as well, but she wants everyone to believe that, like socialism and Mondami, because she's come out in support of him, and he's talking about taking away people's money. Well, she's making $1 million a year. I don't know about you, but I could live on $1 million a year, pretty sure. I wouldn't have a hard time doing that at all. How about you? Think you could live on $1 million a year? I mean, that's that's a lot. That's a crap ton, right? What, just shy of $100,000 a month? I don't know. I mean, again, I would have to stop taking the helicopter to Starbucks in the morning, but outside of that, I guess I could continue. Newsom vetoes fire prevention bill, saying it's too expensive. Yet he spends $250 million on this gerrymandering bill that they're punching holes in people's voting things so you can figure out what they voted. Again, if you're a California voter, pay attention to your ballot, specifically the envelope that you send it back into. I still like the idea of messing with them and put like a black sticker or something over the actual one that would imply that you're okay with the gerrymandering. Like, make it look like you voted yes when you actually voted no. And then the other one, you just put like white or whatever. See if they can actually figure it out. I don't know. But ultimately, it's probably going to be used maliciously. This is how they cheat in this state. They do a lot of crazy stuff, or they phrase it in such a way where you think you're voting yes, but you should have voted no. It's what they did last time on the recall. It's something to the effect of, what is your vote on not supporting the recall, or something weird. It was just something goofy like that, and most people wanted to recall him, the overwhelming number of signatures, but they got the question wrong, so that's how that played out, It's crazy. Crazy sauce. Got one more here. Oh yeah, Mitch McConnell, the fall guy.
Kidnapping vote?
Now, you guys saw that big bump right there. You see that? See that giant pothole that he, giant crack in the floor that, I mean, he at least walks on. Seriously, Kentucky, what the fuck is wrong with you? Come on, guys. Come on. You guys are supposed to make sense over there. Supposed to make sense over there. Too much, was it Jack Daniels? Where do you guys, you make that? It's Kentucky, right? Was it Tennessee? I forget which one. Whatever. Hey, get out of here. There we go. There we go. All right, what do we got here? We got, Russia new JFK assassination dossier. So this is at jfkfacts.substack.com. This is where you're going to find this particular new JFK assassination dossier that was just put out by, I believe it was Luna. And this is the one that we got from the Russians. Again, we don't know for sure if it's accurate, but she put it all out as is, just as is. Let's download it just for fun. There you go. At least we got it. We're not going to read it right now. Also interesting, Kirill Dmitriev posted this, which is pretty telling and fantastic. And I think peace with Ukraine is coming soon. I think Trump and Russia are playing this intentionally to demonstrate that this is all about Europe and not about anybody else. And if that's the case, then make Europe pay for the war. Because just like Trump, Putin also understands that Europe can't afford this. Europe's not prepared to fight a war. The only reason this war was happening was because of the United States, for the most part. Germany blew through all its crap pretty quickly. UK doesn't have much left over. France got rid of everything they've got. Spain doesn't even want to spend the money on NATO, the 5%, the only nation not to, which I think most of them can't afford it. But this is kind of interesting that he comes out with this. From the Soviet JFK docs released at Rep Luna, Kennedy, Khrushchev World Peace Bridge could and should be built between Alaska and Russia at once. With modern boring company technology, this can become a Putin-Trump tunnel connecting the Eurasia and Americas for $8 billion or less. Think about how amazing that would be to be able to drive from Alaska to Russia and vice versa. And if they actually bore this thing right, you could literally have trucking, and then you could maybe even have cars or have enough lanes to do both or whatever. This would be incredible. It would be amazing to be able to connect When's it been since the when all the water levels were supposedly lower? Like, I mean, way back when that was probably the last time you were able to actually walk or travel between these two areas. That's pretty incredible. We're in changing times, folks. It is wildly cool where we're at right now. I love this guy. I don't know. He's growing on me more and more every day. I know a bunch of you guys don't. Sorry. But he's just growing on me. This dude is. Still talks funny, but dude got what do you have, stroke? Whatever he had. Bad. Messed him up. Messed up his language skills pretty bad, but dude's still rocking it.
I'm the only Democrat in my family. I grew up in a conservative part of Pennsylvania, and I grew up and I know and I love people that voted for President Trump. But they are not fascists. They're not Nazis. They're not trying to destroy the Constitution and those things. And that's part of another thing. I refuse to call people Nazis or fascists, or I would never compare anybody to Hitler and those things. And now that kinds of extreme rhetoric is going to continue. We're going to be more likely in resulting in extreme kind of outcomes and political violence and doing all these kinds of things like Charlie Kirk. For me, all I could say is like, let people grieve. Give people the space. I'm not going to use that terrible thing and that Pasek assassination to make my argument and try to put out my views. It's like, my God, you know, he's a father that had his neck blown out by a bullet. And now people have forgotten. President Trump was in my state, was shot in the head. And if that would have, could you imagine where our nation would be if he was hit in the same way with Kirk? We really got to turn the temperature down. And we can agree to disagree on these kinds of things. But right now, shutting down the government, I just can't take it that. I'm the only
I don't disagree with them, do you? I mean, maybe on some of his votes and stuff like that, sure, of course. But right now, again, any of the Democrats that have the balls to step across the aisle, I think my hat's off to them. Trump signs executive order putting new restrictions on federal hiring. Just cinching down how they can hire, what areas they can hire for, stuff like that. I'm sure another judge is going to try to come in and say he doesn't have the right to do this either. This is all outstanding how this is playing out. And by the way, it's mostly the unions that are pushing a lot of these nonsense court cases. Government shutdown enters 16th day. These are the regions most and least impacted. D.C. Was number 1, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Hawaii was number 2. That might surprise people. It surprised me a little bit, and that's the main reason why I brought it up. So 23% of Hawaii's gross state product comes from federal funds. Shucks, Hawaii. Sucks. Aloha. Again, Hawaiians, well, by the way, Hawaiians are dicks to mainlanders, so I can actually say this and mean it. Beautiful land, though. Beautiful very much. And I'm also really fond of the whole Lumeria thing and the spiritualism that exists in Hawaii, so I've got an odd love of the area. That said, Native Hawaiians generally hate, well, they pretty much totally hate people that come from the mainland, even though we bring a lot of money there. Tourism's a big part of what they do, which a lot of their stuff is national parks, too, by the way. So, again, that's where a lot of that goes. Speaker Johnson suggests House would return to fund the DOD, but only if the government is reopened. Well, guess what? They didn't vote to do the defense spending bill. Didn't even happen, so it didn't even matter. Government's still closed, and the Senate Democrats voted against it. In fact, it looks like, Rand Paul, probably McConnell, I don't know who the 3 centrist Democrats voted to advance the measure. So we had Catherine Cortez Mastro, John Fetterman, and Jeannie Shaheen. So that's where we got to 50, which means a bunch of Republicans didn't vote for it. They have their names in here. Mitch McConnell, the chairman of the Senate Appropriation, criticized Democrat colleagues for blocking the bill, so he probably voted for it. Who were the the Senate Majority Leader threw curveball. I want to know who the ones were that didn't vote for it, because there was obviously some Republicans that voted. This passed through the committee 26-3, like way bipartisan. So the fact that they didn't pass this is pretty jacked up. I don't see the names jumping out at me. Oh well. First socialist town hall was held last night, I guess. I don't know why this is what they're saying here, but anyway.
Know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democrat Party. We all know it. AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that. And amid all that, Chuck Schumer is actually bragging that every day gets better for his party. As you know, that is his words, not ours. All this would be laughable if it didn't come at the cost of American families, and it really is deadly serious. If it were up to Republicans alone, we would not be in this mess. We'd be up here negotiating and debating openly and transparently on the issues impacting Americans' lives. But as I've said repeatedly, Democrats slammed the brakes on legislative business when they decided to shut down the government for their partisan political purposes. The progress we made on appropriations and the conversations that were underway on the COVID-era Obamacare subsidies and all those issues, all that sits at a standstill until Democrats reopen the government. As soon as 5 Senate Democrats come to their senses and break ranks and turn the lights back on, House Republicans are anxious to get back to legislative session and to pick up our unfinished business. We have a lot yet to do.
Yeah, big time. And again, I love the way they're pushing this. I think there's a lot of talk that the Republicans are going to cave. We'll see. I mean, we've got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that would, for sure. Massey that would, for sure. So there's definitely some of them that are communists, or at least traitors, or both. And again, I'm going to keep being a dick to Marjorie until she finally pulls her head out of her ass. I'm hoping she does. Marjorie, I so want to welcome you back. I really, really do. Really, really, really do. But you keep doing this. You're like Massey. You're just better at hiding it. There's a $300 trillion oops, they're saying. Now, what people are a little concerned about, 2 things. One, this was PayPal USA, their stablecoin, right? PayPal USD, their stablecoin. What happened was they issued 3 trillion stabilized tokens. 3 trillion tokens they created, which would require 3 trillion US dollars put aside so it could actually be backed, so it could be a stable coin. The only way to have a stable coin is to have an equal number of dollars to the number of coins you have. Now, you can call yourself a stable coin. Now, again, I don't think it's regulated very well, so I don't trust them at all, personally. But they somehow created 300 trillion of these stable coins, and then 30 minutes later transferred them to a non-public wallet. People are like, what the hell? First off, how'd you create them if you didn't have any actual capital to back it? Why did you create them? Why weren't they removed or deleted? What are you doing with them? Like, this seems a little sneaky. Because, what? So they're going to create a bunch of stablecoin PayPal, get a bunch of people to buy PayPal coins, and they're sitting on 300 trillion of them while they wait for the value to go up, and then what? You're going to start selling them? So if I were you guys, I would spend $0 investing in PayPal USD stablecoins. $0. Make PayPal suck it. First off, I hate PayPal because they kicked me off their platform back during the fund. I still can't use them. In fact, the software I use for editing, which is actually pretty cool, DaVinci is who makes it. It's really, really neat. Resolve is the product. What I love about it, not to get totally lost in this, but you can have 2 graphic cards, and it's one of the only video platforms out there that can actually use dual graphic cards. So that's why I use it, because when I actually export, it exports like it used to take. It would take 15 to 25 minutes, and I had a decent computer. Take 15 to 25 minutes to export. Now it takes like 5 minutes. So anyway, they require PayPal, and the only way you can use a credit card is to go through PayPal. They make you create an account, and every time I've tried to do it, PayPal's like, you can't create an account with us. So I'm like, I can't even buy from you guys. So I end up having to find someone else that sells it, and then I get a license that way. So I dislike PayPal with all of my heart as well. I use Zelle and GiveSendGo, and so there's stuff like that you can always use. The U.S.-China trade war is going into full effect, and right now the big question is are we going to trust China? Scott Bessent's basically saying, no, you guys haven't held up your end of the bargain. You've already lied to us. You're already doing shenanigans, so here's the thing. We don't trust you. Now, what he's also saying is, look, we don't want to totally decouple from you, but we need to divest away from you, period. Decouple means we'll never buy another thing from you because you're such a problem. Divesting kind of means we're going to stop utilizing you as much, but still, we'd like you to be a part of the family. There's a lot of discussion about what's happening right now. There's a lot of discussion about whether or not Xi's okay, whether or not the CCP is still in charge, or Xi's in charge, or who's in charge. There's this guy, I think his last name is, that's involved, that supposedly, what are they calling him? The something wolf or whatever, he's like the tariff wolf or whatever, like China's, like, go get him. China's like deal maker, like Trump, right? And this dude's just been a dick. Like, he came out here and he was really disrespectful. So again, these talks have not gone well. One thing I was thinking, like, if I had like a bunch of money, like, I don't know what I'd need to start a company like this. Probably, like, if I had like $10 million, I'd probably consider it, because I could afford some of the crap just to even look into it. But e-waste, if you can actually figure out how to break down e-waste more efficiently, and there's a lot of precious metals in e-waste. There's copper. They're saying in the e-waste market back in 2022, the estimated valuable stuff was about $91 billion. Talk about a great business to get into. Copper was about 19 billion of that. Iron was about 16 billion of that. Gold was about 15 billion of that. Palladium, 8 billion. Aluminum, 11 billion. Nickel, 14 billion. And then others in the 8 billion market. And some of that's going to be some of your precious metals. Just something to think about. We got, like, especially solar panels, just recycling those. There's a whole bunch of silver and crap in the solar panels. Stocks erase gains as trade tensions resurface. Besant blames the lone wolf warrior. That's what they call him. The lone wolf warrior. Lee is his last name, not we. But he had warned China would cause global chaos if the U.S. went ahead with plans for port fees for Chinese ships. Says maybe he thinks he's the wolf warrior, he says, referring to the term used for aggressive Chinese diplomats. But later added the following, which did not help. Quote, if China wants to be an unreliable partner to the world, then the world will have to decouple. The world does not want to decouple. We want to de-risk. There you go, his words. But signals like this are signs of decoupling, which we don't believe China wants. And again, we do not want to decouple. We should work together to de-risk and diversify supply chains away from China as quickly as possible. China is in a very untenable spot right now. Very untenable spot. This is definitely going to affect stock prices. I mean, they're down a little bit today, almost a full percent across the board. Gold and silver continuing to spike. Gold is up 3% today. Silver's up 3.87% today. Silver's at 53.37. Gold sitting at 43.33 right now on the market. Of course, at Kitco, I'm sure it's higher than that, which I'm curious, actually, because I've got something else I pulled up. Oh, really? You're not going to get me Kitco from there? These guys are just making it difficult. I opened it up the other day, too. How funny. That's not remembering it. That's how badly they hate me. They hate me. So, base metals I was just curious about, because I actually bought some copper. Just because I think I'm so, like, addicted almost to precious metals at this point. But copper's sitting at, what was it, $4 an ounce? Not bad. 4.7. Again, I didn't buy it as an investment, though I was just curious what it's actually at right now, because if it does go up, I mean, it does affect things. But you've got your precious metals, are the ones that we're generally looking at. Gold sitting at 43.15 at the moment as far as the bid and ask. Silver's at 53.95. Crap, almost 54 on the bid price. Again, folks, like I said, I'm kind of addicted right now. So I bought this. It's kind of funny. Titanium. I got a 1 pound 0.999% pure titanium. Don't know. It's not worth anything, I don't think. I mean, I got it from Amazon. It wasn't even like, expensive or anything. But, it's cool. And then I bought like 20 of these 1 ounce copper coins. Again, not worth money. Just, I love this stuff. The metals are fun. I mean, this is where it's at right here. This right here is 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce of silver. Both of these are extraordinarily good deal to have right now. Prices are going up, yes. Prices are going to continue to go up, yes. Prices are going to reach, well, silver is going to probably blow through 70, some are saying. 75, 80-ish is kind of where I'm feeling. And then gold's easily going to pass 5,000. Easily. In fact, I think it's going to be in the mid-range between 5 and 10. Somewhere, 75, somewhere in that vicinity. This is still a really good idea. Inflation's killing the dollar. It's not that gold and silver is becoming more valuable. No, the dollar is literally becoming less valuable that quickly 3% today. You're in stocks on your 401k or IRA. This money right here, whatever your dollar amount is on your stocks, that inflation is killing that value every day, your buying power, as we've talked about in the past. Back in the 30s, I could buy a fully tailored suit with 1 ounce of gold, and it was worth about $30. Today, I can buy a fully tailored suit with 1 ounce of gold. It's worth about $4,300. Same thing, buying power. I didn't get rich on it. This is a horrible investment when the economy is going well. When the economy is falling apart, when the dollar, which is our problem, and we're going to go to a federal dollar, a treasury note, basically, backed by precious metals, this will actually be considered money, just right now. I've already got money. You can turn your 401k or your IRA into precious metals. They're going to put it in a trust for the time being. That's how you do it tax-free and penalty-free. If they send it to you up front, that's the same thing as cashing out. So tax-free, penalty-free, they move it sideways. They put physical metals into a trust. They're yours. You can ask for them later. Tax-free, penalty-free, move it sideways. Up to 10% of the face value, free silver for you, just for using my good friends at Goldco. 10%, up to 10% free silver. So if you move 250,000, you're going to get 25 grand of free silver. Silver's continuing to go up, and there's still sort of a multiplier in silver. I think silver, we're probably gaining a little value. Gold's, I think, holding true. Silver, I think, is finally breaking loose. And I think we're going to see numbers that are going to surprise people. Get in now, get in while you can, because frankly, we don't know how long things are before the stock market has a bad day. Once the stock market has a bad day, well, you're screwed because you're still tied to that inflationary dollar. And now if you sell, you lose a bunch of money. If you get out now while you're sitting on top of the world, you're going to take as much of that buying power as possible and put it into precious metals and protect your wealth. If you continue to pay into it, that's cool. If you want to leave some in there, that's cool as well. But what you're going to find is the precious metals right now are going up and up and up because the value of the dollar is going down and down and down, which means the value of your stock's buying power is going down and down and down. And we haven't even seen the stock prices dip yet. That'll crush your number. Get out of their system. Don't let them invest your money in stuff you don't even believe in. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Let my good friends at Goldco help you through this process. Tax-free, penalty-free, free silver, up to 10%, free silver, free Ronald Reagan coins going to be thrown in there, I'm pretty sure, too, and you're going to get your wealth protection kit and learn all about why this makes so much sense. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that nasty system before that nasty system gets out of you. Yeah, I don't know why I went southern there, but I did. California's Assembly Bill 1127. This is NRA and gun owners are going after him. This is the one that doesn't specifically call out Glock, but anything that uses this specific kind of trigger that can be easily turned into a fully automatic. This is what they're going after. I'm sure one of my firearms currently would fall into this category. But this is, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is illegal. So, and the NRA has basically said, our message to Governor Newsom is simple. We'll see you in court. Yeah, Newsom will lose. This has already been to the Supreme Court and stuff. This has no chance of passing. It has no chance of passing the Supreme Court in California. No chance of passing. And then on top of that, it has really no chance of making it through the appellate court. The appellate courts have been pretty solid about this, and they're going to be like, the Supreme Court's already said, sorry, this law is illegal. President Trump makes clear national reciprocity is being discussed. I didn't know what that actually meant. I had to read the article. I hate it. I hate it when the words are what tells me what it's about. It's stupid. Who does that? What this has to do with is essentially if you've got a concealed carry permit and you got it from state Florida, much like a Florida driver's license, you can drive anywhere in the United States. And the point they make is you should be able to use a concealed weapons permit from Florida and be able to go anywhere in the United States with a concealed weapon using that permit. And the other point they make, which is even more beautiful, is driving is a privilege, while owning a gun and carrying it is a right. There's a big-ass difference between those. So, yeah, Trump is basically saying, yeah, we're kind of looking at moving into this direction. We'll see. I think we've got bigger problems, bigger fish to fry first, but we'll get there. Redistricting chaos takes center stage at Supremes. Jumanji compares race to being disabled. She literally did. You know, there's the idea that you need to have these specific gerrymandered groups or areas because otherwise black people won't get a vote. It's much like if you don't have like a ramp to get inside a store, like disabled people can't get inside the store. So, you know, being black's the same thing as being disabled is Jumanji's point. I mean, it might be the case with her. I don't know. It seems pretty strict, pretty strange, pretty not nice. Comey's lawyer, Patrick Fitzgerald, he's been linked to the Comey memo leak saga that prompted Mueller's appointment. This guy was helping him when he got fired and was then being kind of questioned by the FBI and all that nonsense. This guy started representing him then. I don't know, when I first saw this, the thing that kind of jumped out at me is I'm like, I bet they're going to sort of figure out a way to use this whole like attorney-client privilege nonsense. Like, you know, this guy's been involved with everything, so there's a lot of stuff that he can't talk about because, anyway, whatever the case is, this prosecutor's or defense attorney or whatever's been hanging with Comey for a long time. I'm sure he's tied into all the families. I'm sure he's tied into Rothschilds or Soros or whatever. The indictment against Comey, Eastern District of Virginia, which is pretty awesome because it's not actually D.C., which means we have a chance on this, especially considering we've made some fancy footwork in the Eastern District of Virginia. So, yeah, things are getting interesting. Trump suggests he might attend SCOTUS arguments for the tariffs case. It would be the first sitting president to actually sit in on a Supreme Court case. I don't know if he can or will, or if they're, you know, the press is going to have a field day with this, which they probably will anyway. But it would be cool to see. I think Trump's like, this is probably one of the most important cases that exists. And if they literally say no, we're literally going to watch our country go bankrupt. Period. That's it. End of story. I mean, literally. Right now we're using tariff money to pay our military. Some have said, if you listen to people that make 0 sense anymore, like Ben Fulford, I don't know what happened to that dude, but he's like, yeah, the United States, they're not getting any more money. They're not going to print any more money. And so some are saying that's why our government shut down. Of course, others are saying it's because of 3i Atlas. They shut down the government because they don't want to talk about that, which I think is pretty absurd. But I think that just happens to be interesting timing. All said, I think we've got other issues at work that are far bigger than whether or not an alien craft is out by Mars, or actually probably much closer to Jupiter at this point. I think it hit its periapsis or perialis. I forget which one. Perihelion. One of those. The low point of its orbit. It was like, I think it was today. I feel like it was the 16th. Anyway. Today's also supposed to be a special day, and I think it's because of that you should try to get out and get some sun. So if you've had a chance to get a little sunlight on your skin today, that's probably a good thing. We, the media, posted this. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has filed a lawsuit to block the Trump administration's plan to impose new fees on H-1B visas. They're arguing it would make it harder for U.S. companies to hire skilled foreign workers. It's going to be an interesting argument to make. They're claiming that this foreign talent will go overseas, but here's the thing. We have the best jobs in the world. So, yeah, foreign talent, they're talent, sure, but they don't know anything. And no offense, I love Indian people, but I've worked with a lot of Indian people. I've had to put together task descriptions and training documents for many Indian people. And again, no offense at all. Indian people do very, very, very good at following instructions. But it's a little more rare to find one that kind of think outside the box, to think like you just basically say, here's some basic rules. I want you to kind of figure it out. And they're like, wait, what? What? Okay. You know? And so some are better than others. Definitely had some great guys on my team that were capable of deep digging and figuring stuff out. But I've also run into many that can't handle if something gets outside of the steps. But I did the steps. I know, but sometimes you got to do something outside the steps. And he's like, I can't. I got to do the steps. The steps is what I do. It's like, okay, let me take a look at it. It's like I'm not even going to waste any more time banging my head against the wall. Bessent predicts U.S. is going to finish the trade agreement with South Korea in about 10 days. It seems to be some weird drama going on with them, but whatever the case is, they're trying to get South Korea to invest some money here in the United States. It sounds like that might be happening, and that might have been a deal breaker. And so maybe that's finally going to occur. We'll see. Hopefully. I've got my lovely Tiffany Myers going to be talking about how the Trump U.S. trade war is happening with China. This is This is going to be the biggest deal. This is going to affect the stock markets. This is going to cause your dollar to go down. DRSlikesgold.com. If you can't see the writing on the wall yet, you're going to be too late. Which, again, I'm helping those I can. I love you guys. DRSlikesgold.com. While you can, guys. While you can.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. The U.S. is signaling the possibility of drastic steps in response to China's stranglehold on rare earth minerals, which are vital for the defense and tech industries. U.S. officials say they could cut trade ties with China altogether if it continues. President Trump now saying we are in a trade war with China. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley has more on how this affects everything from car manufacturing to national security.
Are we in for a sustained trade war with China?
Well, you're in one now.
President Trump says the U.S. is in a trade war with China. That's as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says if China continues its rare earth export restrictions, the U.S. may be forced to cut economic ties with China.
If China wants to be an unreliable partner to the world, then the world will have to decouple.
Now, to be clear, Bessent emphasized that decoupling is not the goal. The administration wants to de-risk and diversify, not sever ties altogether. But he said China's latest move in restricting 5 more rare earth elements last week and dozens of related technologies sends a message that, well, can't be ignored. And U.S. industries are already feeling the pressure. Bessent said U.S. automakers are reporting delays in getting Chinese-made magnets that contain rare earths. He also accused the CCP of giving non-credible explanations for those delays.
When we asked the Chinese about this, they said, oh, it probably had something to do with the holiday. Had something to do with the holiday. So they can't be trusted with the global supply chain.
Meanwhile, we're seeing some major companies trying to adapt. Stellantis, the car maker behind Jeep and Dodge, just announced a massive $13 billion U.S. investment, their largest ever, to boost domestic production and reduce its dependence on China. Long term, the U.S. is shifting strategies, now going on offense with industrial policy. That means price floors, forward buying, and long-term investments in critical minerals, not just rare earths, all to protect any U.S. industry that's vulnerable to Chinese market manipulation. Also, on China's rare earth mineral export restrictions last week, Bessent now says that they were made by a different CCP official without Chinese leader Xi Jinping's knowledge.
Lower level trade person who was slightly unhinged here in August, I think his name is Li Guangdong, and threatening, saying that China would unleash chaos on the global system if the U.S. went ahead with our docking fees for Chinese ships.
Li Chengong is China's vice minister of commerce. He's widely viewed as belonging to a faction within the Chinese Communist Party that opposes Xi Jinping. Bessent said earlier this week that this is a sign of the Chinese Communist Party's brittle nature, with party infighting more than prevalent. Reporting by Jack Bradley, NTD News.
I'm telling you, this is what I've been saying, guys, and I haven't been lying. One of the reasons I love NTD, they're kind of a break off from Epoch Times, and I loved Epoch Times, except they force you to be, pay money and all that, and it's just a pain in the ass. NTD News does really good, and they've got Alice Tang and good old Tiffany Meyer, so. Right there, I'm very happy. By the way, I got to give her some points. I love the way she kind of uses a radio voice at the beginning. Check this out.
I'm Tiffany Meyer. The U.S. is signaling the possibility of drastic steps in response to China's
drastic steps. You go, girl. I love it. That's so not Asian, which I don't know what the hell race. I don't know where you're from. I can't tell, but you're beautiful nonetheless. FCC moves to bar Hong Kong telecom carriers in the U.S. This is huge. Washington has taken a series of actions against China's telecom and tech industries. Hong Kong's telecom carrier HKT International is no longer going to be allowed to operate in the United States. We are at war with China. More than 500,000 U.S. universities linked to China's military, a new report reveals. 500 U.S. universities helping the Chinese military. That's going to stop. No more funding for these people, and the ones that want to keep doing it, it's like, all right, well, they're in bed with China. They're going to start losing accreditations, and all sorts of things are going to start to happen. We are at war with China. Trump's pushing EU to slap 500% tariffs on China. Proceeds would go to the Ukraine Victory Fund. That's a good idea, by the way. I love how he's playing this right up against the UK. EU, sorry. He's playing this right up against the EU. It's like, all right, you guys want this war. This war is your war. This war is not our war. From California to New York Island, right? Get out of here. It's not happening. EU, 500% tariffs on China. Get serious. Back us on this. Any money you make, here's what you do with it. You give it back to Ukraine because you don't want it, EU, right? You don't want it. What would you do with it other than stuff your pockets? You want to help Ukraine out so much? Put your money where your mouth is. Ursula von der Leyen. Just saying. They probably won't do it because they're weak. They're very weak. Defending against strained grids, the Army is going to start powering its U.S. bases with micro-nuke reactors. They're planning on putting a couple of these at many, if not all, bases. Now, these are capable of generating something up to 20 megawatts of power, which is pretty good, enough to power a small city, I think they're saying. And that is fabulous. Small town, they say. They would have 2 of those, so they'd be able to power their base. But any electric that they could maybe share with the outer grids might very well happen. That would kind of happen automatically. So that would be kind of a benefit. But on top of that, bases would never lose their power. And that's fantastic because we're at war with China. Not trying to beat that dead horse, but really get people to understand we're at war with China. Trump unveils triumphal Arc de Trump for America's 250th anniversary, which means this thing's going to be built by next June. And I don't know the area at all. Some of you, of course, do. But this, where do you say it's going to be? So this is going to be placed at the entrance of the Arlington Memorial Bridge, opposite the Lincoln Memorial. Okay, so opposite where the Lincoln Memorial is, when you come across the Arlington Memorial Bridge, you're going to pass through the arch. And Trump kind of goes into this whole, like, people have always said something should be there. They were initially, I guess, going to put a Robert E. Lee statue there in 1902, but, you know, something got in the way, I guess. All said, yeah. They're going to probably make that happen. I'm sure people will bitch about that. Taxation without representation. Yeah, Trump admin is battling the UN over the global carbon tax. They want to charge all this money. It's going to raise shipping costs a bunch, this net zero framework. Trump's basically making it clear the United States will not accept any international environmental agreement that unduly or unfairly burdens the United States or harms the interests of the American people, period. The administration unequivocally rejects this proposal before the IMO and will not tolerate any action that increases costs for our citizens, energy providers, shipping companies, and their customers or tourists. Yeah, he's like, nope, I don't give a shit what you guys are going to do. You guys can do whatever you want in Europe. Have at it. You want the war with Ukraine. You want to make energy so expensive no one can afford it. You go, boy. We're not going to do it. We're not going to have any of that. Indonesian volcano erupts again. This has erupted numerous times. This isn't the first time, but it's erupting again. Shot cloud 5 miles in the air. Pretty impressive, about 25,000 feet. Mount Luwatobi Laki-Laki, one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes, erupted again. So yeah, sending all sorts of crap in the air. Greenhouse gases, by the way. Huge amounts. When you look at how many greenhouse gases come out of a volcano, just next time anybody tries to say anything about how climate's caused by human usage, you go ahead and find the numbers for what humans pump into the atmosphere with CO2 based off of all the stuff that we do, right? All the manufacturing, all the driving, everything, okay? Look at that number, even though it'll be hard to get an accurate source, and then compare it to a volcano. We got 20 of those going off at any given time. Then let's talk about forest fires. Literally. So again, the next time anyone says any of that crap, just bring up volcanoes and forest fires. Yeah, they won't be able to handle it. Their heads will pop. They don't like facts. That'll emotionally get them unstable, and they'll probably steal something, your phone, whatever you're filming them with. China spy scandal spirals. Cummings claims massive Beijing hack of Britain's highest secrets. It already happened and was covered up. Good job, England. Yeah, we're giving our secrets up too, by the way. They don't mention that in the article here, but that was definitely happening. But yeah, China bought this company that was handling all the communications of the sensitive type. China owned the company that those communications were running through. Yeah, it was classified. China was reading all of it. Good job. Good job, Europe. Seriously. I mean, it's just, we were trying to give the world to China. We were trying to. The deep state was. That was always the plan. Kill off a whole bunch of us, give control to China, boom. Bada bing, bada boom. China had no problem with forcing people to do stuff. Now, that world's changed. That's not what's happening anymore. It's what the CCP wants to do. Many are suspicious that that's not what Xi wants to do. We'll see how that all plays out. Trump authorizes CIA covert ops targeting Venezuela, Maduro's regime. Definitely talking about overthrowing the government. I am noticing more and more and more how much Zero Hedge does not like Trump. It is interesting to watch. And I will call you guys out on it every single day. Because a lot of these are Tyler's articles too. So it's not just, it's interesting. But needless to say, we flew B-52 bombers over the coast, just like near the coast, back and forth. Like just to be dicks. We're just like, yep, got this giant-ass bomber here. Yeah, we could rain down terror if we wanted to. Right now we don't want to. But yeah, took off from Louisiana. Flew a few hours over there. Guys were having lunch, on the aircraft probably while they were up there. I'm sure they were a little more professional than that. Chances of damage happening was pretty severe. Trump was asked whether or not he considers an opportunity to do anything further with Venezuela as far as escalation. He's got an answer for that.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged...
Well, I can't do that, but I authorized for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. They came in through the... they came in through the border. They came in because we had an open border policy. And as soon as I heard that, I said a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat, but I think a lot of other countries are feeling heat too. We're not going to let this country, our country, be ruined because other people want to drop, as you say, their worst. They have given us their worst.
Yeah, 100% true. And that's got to stop, obviously. Pete Hegseth is, throwing some rhetoric at Russia. Again, the stuff with Russia is weird. It's playing out. Again, this is optics. I'm 100% sure at this point. Trump and Putin have a deal. They've agreed to stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. This is playing out as optics to the left-leaning media, all the Ukraine lovers, if you will, to Europe, to the deep state, to everybody. This is playing to all of them. Like, okay, we're going to talk tough to Russia. Russia's tried to stop this war already. Ukraine refuses to accept it because of what Europe keeps saying. Europe won't let Ukraine stop. Why? Because the deep state controls Europe, and the deep state's getting funded, and the United States is no longer funding it, so the only money they're getting is via Europe right now. And that can't be very much. Whatever the case is, Hegseth's talking tough, and some people are having a hard time with it. Warhawk. It's like, just calm down. This is optics. Fuck.
That's all that matters. Hard power. It's the only thing belligerents actually respect. Your continued investment and leadership are vital to helping Ukraine defend itself and to bring an end to this conflict. Peace through strength. Now, Europe's political leaders have also endorsed military planning for the coalition of the willing. By establishing an operational headquarters and committing personnel to that multinational force, should a peace arrangement be reached, European leaders are sending a clear message to Russia. Now is the time to end this tragic war, stop the needless bloodshed, and come to the peace table. Now, if this war does not end, if there is no path to peace in the short term, then the United States, along with our allies, will take the steps necessary to impose costs on Russia for its continued aggression. If we must take this step, the U.S. War Department stands ready to do our part in ways that only the United States can do. We remain clear-eyed about the fact that the most effective deterrents to Russian aggression are, number one, a lethal, capable, and European-led NATO, and number two, a combat-credible Ukrainian military able to defend itself and thereby continue to deter Russian aggression along NATO's border. Again, peace through strength. Under President Trump's steadfast leadership, and in particular with our European allies, we're going to bring an end to the war in Ukraine. The war must end. Like we saw him do in Gaza and in the Middle East, President Trump knows how to forge peace, to create opportunities in situations and scenarios where peace seems far off. He and he alone has the ability to do that. This is not a war that started on President Trump's watch, but it will end on his watch. So let us seize this moment, strongly forge peace in Ukraine, and let's bring peace through strength. Thank you very much.
I love how he called it a European-run NATO, because, again, it's the separation. Trump's like, you guys got to pay 5% or we're not going to protect you. This is getting them to pay their fair share. This is getting them to take ownership of what they're basically insisting Ukraine do. Okay, you guys want a war? You pay for it. Trump just put this out. I've just concluded my telephone conversation with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and it was a very productive one. President Putin congratulated me and the United States on the great accomplishments of peace in the Middle East, something that, he said, has been dreamed of for centuries. I actually believe that the success in the Middle East will help in our negotiating and attaining an end to the war with Russia and Ukraine. President Putin thanked the First Lady Melania for her involvement with children. He was very appreciative and said that this will continue. We also spent a great deal of time talking about trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of high-level advisors next week. The United States' initial meeting will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined. President Putin and I will meet in an agreed-upon location, Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. President Zelensky and I will be meeting tomorrow in the Oval Office, where we will discuss my conversation with President Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made with today's telephone conversation. We'll see. If Trump's, I think, basically going to be tough to Zelensky and just be like, look, here's the deal. We're not going to give you anything. You're going to have to buy it, or Europe's going to have to buy it, and Europe has no money. So you're either going to get annihilated, and we're going to go publicly and act like we're doing everything we can to help them. We don't know why. Or take the deal. And Putin's already got the buffer zone in place. He's already taken more land than he needs to. He's ready. And the buffer zone's going to be the extra land he took. It'll be like, all right, we'll withdraw from where we are right now to this area. I'm giving you some of your land back. But you're not allowed to put any troops there or anybody really for now. Or whatever their deal is going to be. But it'll be along those lines. Viktor Orban, Hungary's prime minister, he says he just got off the phone with President Trump. They spoke about preparations for the USA-Russia peace summit. Hungary is the island of peace. Good for you, Victor. Good guy. We've got some really great leaders in the world. Not a lot, but a few. Trump warns if Hamas doesn't disarm, we will disarm them, maybe violently. They're talking some tough stuff. They're actually shooting some people. They're carrying out some public executions just hours after signing the peace treaty in Gaza. Hamas is trying to take control of Gaza again. And so basically what Trump's saying is, Hamas, you're done. You're done. And if you guys feel like you're going to sneak back in, we are literally going to come in there and annihilate you. And Trump's basically saying, we'll get involved. Donald Trump right here. If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah. Thank you for fucking off. Israel did a strike at a Hezbollah storage facility in eastern and southern Lebanon. Some big booms, supposedly weapon storage. And we don't have the actual explosions. We just have smoke. But that's certainly not going to help the peace movement, that's for sure. A lot happening, and I've got a live show coming up in about an hour from my moment in time. But I hope you guys join us on our live shows Thursday and Friday. Both of them are 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Music on Fridays, Law of One on Thursdays, which, again, it's not for everybody. But it's actually pretty good stuff. It's good advice, no matter who you are, no matter what your religion is. It shouldn't matter that much, believe it or not. It's pretty cool. All said, we've got a lot happening. World's changing. And, I don't know if I've mentioned, we're at war with China. Dude, if you guys are still in your 401k, get the fuck out. Seriously. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. That's all I can say. I don't know how much more time we get, but it ain't that much longer. We're going into some heavy-duty stuff. Everyone's been saying Red October. We're 16 days in. It's been an interesting October so far. We got more to come. All I know is we'll be doing this together, guys. You know that. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.